Hi, today I'm working on getting started on a new series. As I said in my last video, after almost 40 years of being an artist, I'm kind of trying to get a fresh start. So today I've been looking through sketchbooks. I've been looking at some resources to get inspired because I really want to get going on some fresh oil paintings. I did 2 paintings in 2024, but I'd like to start really ramping up and getting more productive. I want to start painting more. I'm feeling inspired. I want to build my business. I want to get my work out there to share with more people. So I've been thinking a lot about what I want to do next. I've always loved to paint animals. That's always been my focus. So I went back to some of the artists that used to inspire me many years ago and still do. I love the Canadian artists in the group of 7. I love the colors that they use. I was reading about Emily Carr today, who was in the group of 7, and she actually came to Alaska and painted some very famous images of some of the Alaska Native villages back in the very early 1900s. So her paintings were actually a really important historical documentation, as well as being just beautiful paintings. I love her brushwork. I love the vivid color in most of the group of 7 paintings. They're very similar to another movement or group that I really like, which my dogs are making noise. They're very similar to another group that I've really liked for many years, which is the Blue Reiter group, or Der Blaue Reiter group, that had Franz Marc, I think Chagall is in that group. Again, very bold, simple, colorful kinds of work. So one thing I've been doing is taking a look at very old sketchbooks, and just in the last week I've been ramping up my sketchbook practice again. I pretty much was doing no sketches the last few years, and I actually hadn't even really been aware that I had fallen out of practice. So I'll show you some of the sketches, my old sketches. When my kids were little, I would combine sketching whatever scene I was in with my journal, so it was kind of hard to find a lot of my sketches. Of course, I have sketchbooks from when I was in college. They're a lot more cohesive. I'll show you some of my sketches I did when the kids were little, and then I'll show you some of the sketches I've been working on this week. So here is a sketch that I did. I think this one was inspired by someone I was watching on YouTube. She uses a lot of color. I was trying to get a more loose approach. I think you can tell that being loose isn't supernatural to me, but I was trying. I was using watercolor here and just some waterproof ink pens. I was also trying to be more loose here, just trying to get some color block in. I just drew the plant that was sitting next to me. It didn't turn out too bad. And then I've been taking my sketchbook with me on my daily hikes with the dogs. This one, just a creek that was we have really thick foliage and trees here, so we get these very thick banks with a creek, a little bridge. It's kind of nice to have a man-made structure in there. It kind of gives a relief to all the chaos of the natural features. This is Ward Creek Trail waterfall. Pretty tough. It was really rainy, and the paper started degrading with the pencil. I think I was using a charcoal pencil. And so I was trying to go really quick. You can hardly tell that's even water. But I was trying. I'm determined to get my sketching back in every single day. And here's another one from one of my hikes. This is a little waterfall viewing deck above the waterfall that I drew over there, and there's my border collie Edna. And this one was from another beach. This is across the Tongass Narrows. There's a different island over here. We live on an island, and then this is the island across from us. And this is a lake that we walk at often. There was a bunch of little ducks here. It was pouring down rain that day, but I had a shelter to sit in, so that made it a little easier. There's a little shelter over here where the fly fishermen like to hang out. And then I wanted to do some ravens, so I just kind of looked up some photos of ravens on my phone and used my waterproof pens. This is really comfortable type of drawing for me. I've done a lot of stuff like this. It's not, definitely not. I was trying to be a little bit loose. You can see I made a mark here that that was incorrect. The skull wasn't at the right height, so I just didn't worry about it and kept going. And then here's some, definitely not really loose. I was just kind of leaning into what's my favorite thing, Northern Flicker. I didn't realize it had such really cool array of colors, so I got a little obsessed with that. Did another one with a different pose. I love their really stiff, almost shiny tails. It's how they balance themselves on the trees. I loved that. And another Northern Flicker. And this one was kind of hard to get the color in. I was using acrylic paint, and I thought it would lay on here a little more brilliantly, but it took me a few layers, and it has some muddy edges, but trying not to be too perfectionist about my sketches. And then I did this sketch of my son and his friend when they were just hanging out in the kitchen yesterday. That was fun, and it forced me to be quick and more loose because, of course, they were moving around, and I didn't have much time, and they didn't even know that I was sketching them, so I was trying to be tricky. And then this is a new sketchbook, so that's about all it has in it. This is the one I did this morning. This is a different beach. There's an old abandoned lighthouse on this little island here. There was a boat speeding by, so I'd be very quick sketching that in. I was just using a soft pencil for this one, and it was sunny this morning. I didn't quite capture how that looked, but there was this bank of clouds that was just kind of very light, hazy clouds that was hanging over there. So those are my sketches. I've just been taking pages out of this book, and then I fold them in half. And I take them with this little kit. I'll show you the kit. I bring this kit in my backpack every morning. I bring a backpack because I bring tennis balls for these guys. I have 3 border collies. They love to play ball, so I already have a backpack with a ball and a little folding stool. And this is an old, I don't even know where I got this case. Just has a few different pencils in here, some hard charcoal pencils, sepia. Haven't used the sepia one for a long time. Medium charcoal. I don't really like the hard or the medium. I don't know why I'm even carrying them. I love this 6B pencil though. I like the really soft pencils. And inside are these loose ones. These are the ones I actually like the most. I've had some of these pencils for a long time. I hardly use the eraser. If it's raining, there's no way you can erase anyway. Another 6P pencil, my favorite, nice and soft. This is a charcoal pencil I've used quite a bit. Actually, I guess it's a Conte crayon pencil. HB, this one's a little hard. I find it's a little draggy and scratchy on the paper, so I don't love that one. I need to find a softer one. I like the soft ones. 3B, that's sort of medium. And I should probably just clean out everything but the really soft ones. This is an 8B. That's probably what I used this morning for this drawing. So as I prepare my series, I know I would like to do animals. I also took some photos of some landscape around here. I don't often do landscapes. I always feel like there should be an animal in them. So I was kind of thinking of combining a photo that I took a few days ago and putting my dogs in there, something like that. I also dug out some of these photos that I took. I actually already painted this. This is a juvenile harrier hawk. I painted this and put it in the Hummingbird Festival show that focuses on migratory birds of Alaska. never liked the way this painting turned out. It was this is one reason why I'm trying to loosen up a little bit. This painting turned out really stiff and perfectionist. It was kind of dull. I didn't love it. I actually donated that one to a charity auction. So I kept this. I wouldn't mind using this reference photo. This was a copyright-free reference photo, in case you're worried. I wouldn't mind painting this one again. I dug out some other really old reference photos. I don't even remember where I got some of these. I have some wolves. I know this wolf. This was actually a famous wolf up in Juneau that befriended some dogs and would come down and play with them. I can't remember its name, but there was actually a book written about him. And then I have some ravens. I love ravens, so I would definitely like to do some ravens. Just some other Northwest animals. I have a killer whales. I thought this one was kind of amusing. A composition with 3 of them would be kind of interesting. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing some research. And here's some really old sketchbooks. I'll just kind of briefly show you a few things from those. So a lot of these sketchbooks I found out I didn't even really finish. This is a little foster dog we had. Another dog that we had over the years. I just sketched some flowers while I was out hiking. This was when I was visiting Portland and my friend wasn't awake, so I got bored. So I walked up to a park and just sketched a tree. And just a garden picture from home. This is a painting that I was working on. This is a sketch idea for a Cinco de Mayo painting. That was another idea. And then I was just kind of thinking of other ideas. This was my final idea. Let me grab the painting so you can see what happened with that painting. So this painting, I had finished the skulls and decorated them, and then I realized I really didn't like the way they turned out. They were too dark. And now that I look at them, I still feel like they're too dark. I think it should be more white. So I was thinking maybe rehabbing this painting could be part of my just getting some new motivation and moving forward. So stay tuned for this one. I would really like to finish this one. It's pretty fun, but I want to have it to match my original vision. As we know, we all have a vision when we start a painting, and this one's close, but it wasn't quite there. This one I don't think has a whole lot more. I would sometimes sketch my dogs while we were out playing. Here's our Chihuahua who passed away at 15 years old a little while ago. Here's my border collies, my lab mix that I used to have that I did search and rescue with. Part of my son's face. And just some more dogs. So I go out hiking every day, and I would just sketch the landscape, sketch the dogs, whatever I saw. Here's my son with the Chihuahua. Another landscape from a hike. So basically just kind of sketching whenever I can during life moments. This is 2018, so this is a pretty old sketchbook. And then the rest of this is just a journal, I believe. Just words. So this is a really old sketchbook, and as you can see, this one really shows my interest many years ago in scientific illustration. I was taking a biology class, and it was kind of my excuse to draw these very precise illustrations. And I still kind of enjoy them. They're really fun. This human kidney one, that's kind of beautiful. I wouldn't mind hanging that on the wall. So they're kind of funny, but I really enjoyed making those. Alveoli. Who knew that could be so beautiful to draw? And then just some dog anatomy. More dog anatomy. More dog anatomy. I have a whole book on dog anatomy for artists, which is really cool. More dog pictures. It was a border collie I had decades ago. Tyrone having a pity party. Our Rhodesian Ridgeback, when he felt sorry for himself, would hang his head really, really low. and just stand there waiting for someone to feel sorry for him. This is a little pit bull we had named Leo. So, and this is the Ridgeback. When he wanted to get on the couch, he would stand like that and look pitiful. He was a really funny character. And there's the Ridgeback again. I have a ton of sketchbooks with maybe an eighth of them filled up, which is kind of funny. This one I think just has random sketches here and there. And it looks like I have some Buddhist quotes from I can't remember where. This is just my son Jackson. More dogs. Lots of dogs. Dogs have been my passion for many, many years. And my daughter Claire. Some decent sketches, some kind of messy. And a tulip with some Buddhist quotes from Pema Chodron, who I absolutely loved. I loved her books. I still have her books. And they really are a good mindfulness exercise for artists, I think. And this from a coffee shop. They're coffee grinders. I think that was my daughter's face. And my ex-husband. Let's see what else is in here. And then a flower that was on the table when I went out to lunch with my daughter. And my daughter playing on the beach. That was down on the Oregon coast, I believe. Albany Bay. And just a scene from a local coffee shop, New York Cafe. My ex-husband is hanging out with my daughter. I really miss just doing little daily scenes like this, so I want to get back to doing this. This was in our camper, and we were in Montana, and my daughter's just sitting there waiting for dinner, apparently. Another just little capture of daily life. We were at the Bozeman airport. My daughter was just waiting with her favorite stuffed dinosaur. This is also from a trip. We went to a monster truck show, and then I made these notes down here. This truck was called the Big Ol' Nasty Habit, the second tallest truck in the world, sitting on 73-inch tires. This was at the Kootenai County Fairgrounds down in eastern Washington State. And then my youngest son at a restaurant, just sketching him as we waited. And then sort of the same thing, just journal sketches. This is Green Lake, British Columbia, youngest son. This was when I was planning what was this? I think it was the Beasts of the Bible exhibit, possibly. I was looking for like a sea monster type creature, so I was sort of just sketching out ideas for sea monsters. Or maybe it was for this, it was for that exhibit, but being that I have Jonah and the whale here, I was looking for verses. I wanted to do a show on Beasts of the Bible, so I was looking for any Bible verses that had animals in them. So the woman and the dragon, locusts, I did a painting on locusts. Looking for the great fish, I did a whale shark for the great fish. So this was just not only my sketching book, but this is where I was planning out my show. And this is probably the funniest self-portrait I've ever done. It actually feels quite accurate. I love that. I should probably frame it. And one of my paintings, I'll pop a picture up of it, had hands in it because it's about Raven discovers humans. He discovers them in a clamshell. And then the painting, you see a raven peeking into the edges of the clamshell, and the humans inside are reaching their hands out to the raven. I'll put this picture above so you can see it. So I was practicing drawing my hands. My hands looked prettier back then. So here's an initial sketch for that painting. I think this is the edges of the clamshell. Here's some hands. Then you can see the eye of the raven right here. So this was a very early sketch of that painting. And then I'm looking up those stories are Tlingit stories, so I was looking up historical information about Tlingit art, and that's also how I came to Emily Carr today too. I was just looking up artists, which I feel like I have a lot in common with her. I like her, the way she paints, I like the colors. She's kind of, she seemed pretty tough. She loved the outdoors. I saw a picture of her on a horse with her dogs. She had a border collie, so she's my muse. So they're just talking about the discussion of Northwest art. And then there's some sketches and ideation for some wolves for that show. I did paint this one. I'll pop that one up above. This is the little sketch for it. The painting turned out pretty close to this little tiny sketch. And then some notes that I found about stories. I did this blue jay with a smoke hole and elderberries. And did the frog woman, practicing with paws, dog paws, because these dog paws needed to be done absolutely correctly in my mind. So I was practicing paws. I did this painting. I'll pop a picture of this painting up above. This was the little sketch for it. There was a lot of Tlingit stories about, they called these land otters, and of them stealing children and being a little bit spiritual and menacing. So I put a little bit of red in the otter's eyes to just give it a slight more menacing look, because they're so cute. It's kind of hard to make them look menacing. And then here's my whole plan for that show, which paintings I'd finish in each month and what size they were, and then the final things I needed to do. Then just more random drawings of our Chihuahua, some landscapes, the Chihuahua sleeping. That was Pete. He was a little dog that was given to us because he was a rotten Wawa before we got him. This is from a Tlingit story about the raven lifting up the waters and causing a flood. So in my mind, the sea creatures got lifted up and then got stuck in the trees. So I did this octopus in a tree. I'll put a picture of that finished painting above. And just some more planning. I was looking for the wolf paintings. I did this initially, and then this goes with the dogs back here. So that dog there, snarling. I couldn't get his face right, so I was practiced making a specifically snarling dog face. And then just a couple sketches from this one. I was planning my Beasts of the Bible. It was just animals from the Bible story, and there is the seven-headed dragon that has crowns, and it is in the book of Revelations. And so I was just experimenting with different types of dragon heads. This actually looks more like a pit bull than a dragon. Remember, I think that's kind of from an old pottery thing. And then I kind of settled eventually on something that looks similar to that. I'll put a picture of that painting up above. So I think what I'm going to do to get just started, get warmed up, get back into some serious painting practice, maybe not serious, a consistent painting practice. I bought this pack of small canvases. I very rarely paint this small. I tend to like to paint really big. So I thought it'd be nice. I just poked a hole right through this canvas when I took the plastic off. All I did was poke it with a paintbrush, and the paintbrush went right through it. Good thing they're fairly cheap canvases. I might be able to patch that and use it as a practice canvas. I did have to patch one of my 60 by 65 inch paintings, my favorite one. Somehow got a little tiny tear on top, and I was able to patch it really well and just kind of retouched up the paint on the good side. I didn't know that you could do that. I didn't know you could repair tears. So these are just from Walmart, and I like just having a whole pack because I really want to paint a little bit more loosely. I'd like to get, some of this brightness and motion. I really like paintings that have some motion, some brightness, a little bit of vivid, bold lines, bold color, not be too tight. But I also, when I paint animals, I want to convey the spirit of that animal. I want to convey its relationship to the world, its relationship to us. I want its personality and its inner power, its soul, to be able to emanate through the artwork. So I don't want to paint it too unrealistically. I really want its personality and its spirit to shine through to the viewer. So so it doesn't need to be quite this tight, but one thing I like about these ones, these two that I did last year, is that raven looks pretty realistic, but I was able to kind of bring out its spirit through adding just some interesting bold colors, bold lines. I have the bold background colors, so I kind of like to go for this, maybe even a little more bold, a little more brushy. So that is kind of my goal. I love this. I do love this octopus painting I did, but it's pretty precise as well. So I wouldn't mind painting both of those over again and trying to be even more bold, even more brushy. I definitely would like to repaint this Dowager. This one is definitely too stiff. It's definitely too illustration-y. So this is one I'd like to experiment with repainting some paintings, maybe even repainting them over and over again as a good exercise to just get myself back in the game. So I'll paint one of these itty-bitty little canvases. I'm going to be starting some paintings when I come back. I should have a couple of these done, and maybe I'll be working on a third one, and I will bring you along and I'll paint along. It'll be kind of a paint with me one. Maybe I'll do a voiceover and we'll just paint, and it'll be one of those really relaxing, awesome painting videos. Anyway, share your comments down below what you think. Have you had to restart? I think part of the reason that I just kind of started to forget to sketch daily, as you saw, most of my sketches are really old. Life got stressful. I ended up getting a divorce in 2018, and instead of using art as a way to get through the stress and to release some of the angst I was feeling and the exhaustion, and I just kind of quit. I just got really distracted. So I'm really excited to get back to it. I regret giving up that practice. I've been having so much fun sketching again every day. Another thing I did during this refresh process is I completely updated my website. Almost killed me. It didn't occur to me to actually read the instructions on how to do it, so I spent hours being frustrated. But I'd love it if you checked it out. It's danellekelly.art. And I have a few prints on there now up for sale. I have some original paintings up for sale. I'd love feedback on that. That would be awesome. I've been kind of scared to get more serious and really put myself out there like that. I want to get more active on Instagram. I need to figure out Instagram a little better. I've been on Instagram a long time, but I don't understand it very well. But that is another project I've been doing. The website was a big deal. I've had that website forever, but I never really paid attention to it or updated it. So anyway, I'd love your feedback. I'd love your comments, like and subscribe, all that stuff. But thanks for sticking with me, and check back here soon. Today is Sunday, so I should have a couple paintings to show you by next Sunday. So thanks for watching.